Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to the monthly Town of Milton Board meeting. Today is May 24th, 2023. The time is 6:30. I'd like to get the meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Froelich.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Isaacson.
Present.
Councilman Froelich.
Present.
Councilwoman Kerr. Present. Councilman Blaisdell.
Present.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Present. First on the agenda is a motion to accept the regular board meeting minutes from April 26th, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next on the agenda is a presentation by Greenlight Network. John, would you like to report?
A few months ago, excuse me, I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and I ran into a representative from Greenlight Network and had a conversation, and subsequently led me to a discussion with Casey Henninger, who's sitting here tonight. She's going to be doing the presentation. I thought it was an opportunity that the town board should be looking at, could be a benefit to our residents. They are an internet provider, which could be very competitive to the other internet providers in town. So I'd like to present to you Casey Henninger.
Welcome, Casey. Good evening.
Thank you for having me. So I am Casey Henninger. I'm a Senior Market Development Manager with Greenlight Networks. So I get to work with the municipalities to bring our fiber optic network to their residents. So I'm kind of the tip of the spear. So I'm here to share more about Greenlight Networks and some of our plans in Milton. So a little bit more about the company. We were founded in 2011 by our current CEO and founder, Mark Murphy. He is someone who has over 30 years of experience in the telecommunications industry. So he's been with Frontier, Spectrum, Global Crossing, XO Communications, and he really saw an opportunity in the Rochester, Monroe County area for another provider. People really were not happy with their current options, Frontier and Spectrum. So he wanted to bring a better, more superior option for the residents in the Rochester area. So he started Greenlight Networks, and so what we would do is we would work with companies like, they were FiberTech at the time, but now they're Crown Castle, to leverage middle mile providers, open access fiber networks to get to different municipalities in Monroe County, and then we would build out our own fiber optic network from there. So for a long time, we were the only residential fiber provider in Rochester. Frontier has started overbuilding their phone lines. Still the best fiber provider in Rochester though. So the only company that was offering 2 gig to the home, and we actually, it's in later on in the slide, but we did launch a 5 gig product earlier this year. So we mainly focus on residential and small business customers. So I think it was actually in late 2021, we announced our expansion to the capital region, starting in Clifton Park. So we actually are currently under construction there. We have customers there. We partnered with the town and with the Fisher Ferry Fire Department to be able to bring fiber to the residents in Clifton Park. So we are well on our way to that 23,000 homes by the end of this year. We're seeing a great response from the residents. They are ordering the service, they're liking the service, so we're really excited to be able to provide service throughout the capital region. So we are, like I said, in Clifton Park, and we are starting construction this month in Malta as well, and then hopefully Rotterdam later this year. So some key announcements that we've had in the past probably 6 to 8 months is our expansion in Clifton Park. as well as when we launched our 5 gig product, we also lowered the cost of our 1 gig product by $25 and the price of our 2 gig product by $100. So instead of increasing prices, we are lowering prices. So now you can get a gig for $75 and 2 gigs for $100 from Greenlight. And then last year we also announced our 100,000 homes milestone. So our network now passes 100,000 homes. Well, actually it did then. Now it actually does over 130,000 homes in 21 municipalities in New York State. So that includes Rochester, Binghamton, Buffalo, and the Capital Region. So the nice thing with Greenlight is, since we have started, we have created 200 jobs, throughout the state, and we also have employed hundreds of local contractors to be able to build that network. We partnered with LaChase in 2019. We launched our joint venture. The big reason for this is we wanted to be able to build faster. So we wanted to have multiple projects in multiple municipalities in multiple regions. So we brought them on board. So we handle a lot of the pre-construction, getting permits, easements, designing the network, selecting where we go. And then once the project's ready, they manage the subcontractors and the construction projects. So about Greenlight, this is our plans and prices. We have an entry-level package for $50 a month for 500 megabits per second upload and download. So that's one of the things that differentiates fiber from cable, is you can get a synchronous connection. So you do get that 500 megabits per second upload, and that goes all the way up to our 5 gig product. Something else great about Greenlight is we don't have taxes, so we are internet only, so we don't get taxed by the state or the government of any kind, so we pass along those savings to our customers, no taxes. We don't have contracts or hidden fees. We do have an installation fee that you can pay up front once you're installed. That's $100 per month, or you can spread it out over 4 payments of $25 per month. But after that, your bill is that $50 for that 500 if that's what you get. So no entry-level packages, no introductory offers, no if you say you're gonna leave, we'll give you this one, your neighbor down the street has something different. We have a really transparent, same price for all philosophy, so our customers that we connected in 2011 are paying the ones that we're connecting this week. So we're really proud to be an award-winning fiber to the home provider. We have been recognized by Broadband Now as the #1 fastest internet provider nationwide in New York State and the #1 fastest internet provider in New York. So another thing on this list that we're very proud of is in the Rochester Chamber Top 100, you have to qualify to be one of the fastest growing privately owned companies, so you do have to hit certain revenue benchmarks, and then you have to have considerable growth to be on that list. So we have been named to that list for the past 4 years, number 5 this year, but it is really exciting, and it's a good milestone for a privately owned company. Something that's really important to Greenlight, it starts at the top with our CEO, is our customer satisfaction. We do have a great customer experience team, but the experience really starts at the beginning when they're just learning about Greenlight. So we do educational seminars, neighborhood association meetings, we'll attend events in the community. So we want to start with, even in the pre-construction, what we're going to be doing in your neighborhood, what it's going to look like, what are those people doing there. So we start there so people can be informed and aware of what building a fiber optic network really means and what the benefits it'll be, and then that continues through the connection once they become a customer. Something that we're really proud of is our NPS score. So we did this back in 2020. An independent company will interview your customers, and they'll be put in 3 groups, passives, detractors, and promoters. So when we did it in 2020, we got a 77.4, which is really, really good. Anything in the positives is considered good. So when we did it last year, we were a little nervous because we thought there's only, you only go down. But we were really excited to see that we have gone up. We have an 84.5, so we're really proud of that. The great thing about that is you get to see all of the feedback. So you can see what you're doing well, which is great, but also if there's something you need to work on, we can get that information from our customers and we can make those changes to make sure that they're happy. So we have grown since Mark Murphy was working out of his house in 2011. I'm actually one of those 3 that were in the East Rochester office, and things have really changed since then. But it's been really great to watch the company evolve and grow and be able to add more customers, add more employees. So we're at about 200 right now and looking to go to 230 this year. So for the fiber advantage, people always ask, what's the difference between fiber and cable? And so there's a lot of information on this slide, but our CEO today was actually on a talk show or a daytime show in Buffalo. And he used a really great metaphor, so I'm gonna use that with you guys, the difference is, so with cable or DSL, you have a 1-lane road, and like all your devices are the cars that are all backed up on the road, and nobody's really going anywhere. But with fiber, you have 5 lanes, 6 lanes, 20 lanes, and so the cars can all go through all at the same time, do really great things, and the cars are like the devices that you have connected to your internet. So with fiber, you can connect multiple devices and you won't have any buffering, lagging, anything like that. Another benefit too is fiber connection can increase the home's value by up to 3%. So we are proud to be an approved affordable connectivity program provider. This program was born from the EBP program that came during the pandemic to be able to get people that aren't served by internet connected to internet. So it offers a 30-month discount for broadband services and up to $75 per month if you qualify on tribal lands, as well as a $100 discount for a laptop or a desktop computer. So if you meet any one of these requirements, you do get to participate in this program. So this is a tentative timeline for construction of a green light district. So as you can see, it does take some time. So we've actually probably already started on some of the work for the town of Milton. So the first thing we have to do is apply for access to the utility poles. That is something that it's a long process. There's a lot of different steps. So we are working with Verizon and I believe it's NICEAG here to be able to get access to the utility poles. So we apply for the access to the utility poles, then they have an engineering team go out and do a design to see what they have to do to make the utility poles ready. Once they have that, they have to reconcile that, NICEAG and Verizon have to reconcile that with each other, and then once that's done, we get what's called a final make-ready package, and we can award that to a contractor, so then they have to actually go out and make those moves. So the thing is with that is sometimes certain contractors can only move certain providers' plan on the poles, so sometimes it's multiple trips and a lot of coordination. So we are working through that. It does take some time, but then in the meantime, they are finalizing the engineering design, applying for permits from the state, county, and the town. And then once we have everything we need, then we can schedule our contractors, call in for stakeouts, and actually start the construction. The nice thing is, once all that pre-construction work is done, the actual construction is pretty quick, especially if it's attached to utility poles. So what we have planned in Milton, as we work through all of that, that you saw on the previous slide, is we're planning to pass about over 3,000 homes, which is in 3 of our green light districts. That's how we organize our construction. So at the end of 2024, we'll pass about 49% of the total residential homes. So right now, we only have our construction planned through 2024, so this doesn't include anything that will happen after 2024. So these are the district names, and usually we name them after a street in the district. That's not a main road. So they're all in the initial field survey and initial design stage. Which makes sense because this is also part of step 1 is what I'm doing here today as well. So how can the town of Milton help Greenlight? If there's any neighborhood association or community association information where we can do this type of thing, go talk to the community, answer any questions that they have, that would be really appreciated. And any information on the permitting process or information on any town-owned conduit that's available for Greenlight use. So that's pretty rare, but we do ask because some municipalities do have some conduit that they own. And then once everybody's ready, we do like to partner for a press announcement like you saw with Malta and Clifton Park, just to announce that Greenlight is coming so that the residents know we can raise awareness of Greenlight so they can start signing up to show interest on the website, which then gets them on the list for any updates for their neighborhood. Are there any questions?
Do you run anything underground, or is everything on the poles?
So we do underground construction if that's how the utilities are in that neighborhood. So if there aren't any utility poles in a neighborhood or on a street, then we do underground construction. We do directional boring. So it's about 36 inches below the surface.
So So the construction with Clifton Park, you said started in 2021, it's not yet in service in 2023?
So we announced in 2021 before we had done all of that pre-construction work. We worked out an agreement with the town, we announced with them, and then didn't start actual construction until last year.
John?
Yeah, just a quick question. I know you talked about being to 49% of our residents. I assume that you're gonna start with the most populated areas to begin with.
Right.
Is there a point at which you don't run cable? Because we have quite a few rural residents.
Mhm.
And one of the problems with Spectrum was we could never get service to them.
Right.
So is this something that you would get service to these people with?
So we do have a certain like cost threshold that we do have to meet from our investors. But we do have a government relations person, that is the person that John met at the Capitol, the chamber event, and he's working on many things, but one of them is getting funding from, there's BEAD funding, ARPA funding, a lot of broadband funding coming from the federal government and the state government, and that's what would be used for those types of projects, because a lot of the requirements for that funding is getting to those people. So we are open to it.
Does that go by the mile, like you have to have so many houses within a mile to qualify for you to run it?
I wouldn't say it's a certain number of houses, it's a cost per household, so depending on the cost that goes into the project, we have to be at a certain number.
So if it was low, you would go to the homeowners and say, you want to pay X amount of dollars up front, we can get this to you?
We have not done that.
No.
I will say it is a significant amount of money that it might be unreasonable to even request that. It's a very capital intensive business to run that.
Do you work with any existing fiber optics on poles?
Like use their fiber. So the only thing we do is we will work with companies like Crown Castle and First Light to lease. So I actually think we have something called an IRU, which it gives us different points in different municipalities in the capital region, so that way we can get to them. But then we build it all ourselves.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Just a quick question, do you pay any franchise fees?
No, so we are not cable, we are internet only, so that applies to cable.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I just want to add, it's not a question, but I think it sounds very appealing. I think post-COVID, you have a lot of folks now that are either working remotely from home with, at least in my scenario, working from home, having 2 kids at home streaming at the same time. It's a struggle. So to have a fiber option or a potential fiber option in the future, I think that would be fantastic.
And the number of devices being connected to internet are just growing every year. It's unbelievable when you think about it.
Dozens at a time.
It does, yes, it's crazy when you really start to think about it.
And I think you're right, Ryan, because there's other companies that have contacted us also that want to come and too, so.
Great.
More than merrier.
The competition is good for the consumer, it forces everyone to behave better. So we're up to that. Thank you again for having me.
You're welcome, thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment number 1 for agenda items only. If anybody would like to speak on agenda items only, public comment is now open. Yes, Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. And my comments are on agenda item resolution 55 and 56 as it relates to the highway garage relocation and its geotechnical studies, engineering, and the visualization of what will be built. First, let me say thank you. I reached out to the supervisor earlier today to discuss this, and he was available, professional. Thank you, I appreciate it. reached out to Delaware Engineering. We had a nice conversation today, Adam, and I appreciate your call and engaging in a nice and professional and thorough exchange of ideas. So I'm coming from a perspective of wanting to have the best for the town of Milton. So please understand my comments are made in that vein. I understand that there will be a referral to the planning board, and the town board has referred, and we'll be referring the citing of the highway garage to the planning board. And I know that has also been in front of the planning board before, and they've sent back comments as it relates to a lack of compliance and one of the things in regards to the town center requirements such as setbacks and sidewalks and so on. I understand that the town may be exempt from these requirements. I would say please consider the optics of exempting yourself from the requirements that the town board has, or the planning board has asked many people to comply with. As the old saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think it's important to lead by example. How we develop the highway facility, and Adam had a great response today. Towns would kill for this opportunity that we have here in the town of Milton. We're going to be able to take the highway facility, we're going to be able to move it down the street, we're going to be able to have a brand new facility, we're going to be able to reimagine this extra land for a park or expansion or reinventing the town hall. So we as a town have a tremendous opportunity when we do this, and my perspective in doing this is what we've always used in our company for almost 50 years. Make sure that it is functional, make sure that it is aesthetically pleasing, and that it's compliant with the surrounding zoning. And how we develop this facility is going to be with us for generations. We're not going to be able to change this in 50 or 60 years. So speaking as a resident who has extensive experience in construction, we are seeking the best outcome for all. That'd be the residents, for the highway guys. They deserve a great facility, they're a great operation. And so as we go forward, that is what we're looking to do. We're investing town funds, we're a taxpayer, and I want to make sure that these funds are invested wisely and prudently, and that sometimes we don't get the cart in front of the horse. Resolution 55 in particular deals with the geotechnical engineering, which is required by New York State Building Code, and it involves test boring. And my comments in regards to that, because I read through the proposal and the resolution, and the test boring is being conducted on the proposed location of the highway facility, along with the fuel island and so on. The proposed location of the highway garage and offices may not end up being that location. So my point is, why would we be doing test bores where we may not be locating a building? Right now, it's proposed to be set about 75 feet off of Rollins Street, and I refer back to the planning board comments. They were talking about bringing it forward, making the building parallel with the street, putting the sidewalks in and so on. And I think that there's an opportunity to maybe take this resolution. I think there is $24,000 plus or minus dollars. I understand the need to do test bores. We're going to be locating the fuel island. We're on the Adirondack fault line, so the seismic analysis that Delaware is looking to do is more than appropriate. My point is, let's not be spending money doing borings where we may not be locating the facility. Resolution 56 is the visualization services. And in that proposal, in that resolution, is the ability to expend funds for visualization of how this will be reimagined here on this corner, as well as the facilities up the road. And again, as we go forward, let's spend the money on reimagining the Burgess Kimball, the town hall, but why would we spend funds to visualize a highway facility at this point that's 75 feet off the road, when maybe you'll end up 15 feet off the road? Why would we drill holes in the ground 75 or 100 feet off of the road when the building may be located just a few feet off of the road, if in fact it is done in compliance with town center zoning. We had a roundtable, and you guys put it together along with Delaware. Adam was there. There were other developers, and we had a good exchange of ideas. And I think it would be beneficial to keep going forward with that exchange of ideas. I think it's important that we cite this in compliance with what we already have. We as a town have asked developers, put in your sidewalks, your street trees, your curbs, your lighting. And I know, I've said this just earlier, the town can exempt itself, but you have an opportunity to lead by example. If it's good enough for everybody else, it needs to be good enough for the town. And I think the building needs to be worked from the basis of designing it in compliance with the existing Chapter 180 Town Center regulations versus designing it from a position of not being in compliant and bringing it into compliance. And what I'm saying is trying to cite it in such a manner that it meets the guidelines as they exist now. And those guidelines have proven over the last 20 years to be economically beneficial to the town of Milton as it relates to population, income, and sales tax. So as we go forward, I would encourage that we, and you have referred this to the planning board, and I know the planning chairman, John Bartow, was involved in the town center guideline creation, and I think he still feels strongly about it because I read his comments from the first review. And I think as a town, I would like to see it designed according to town center guidelines, brought forward, make it a place. We've got an 8-acre site, we can make it all work. Highway, fuel, trucks, ingress, egress, safety, septic, et cetera, et cetera. And it's an opportunity if we get those walks in, and Mr. Samuscott does development and walks, we're gonna have an aesthetically pleasing, nice town. And as I repeat what Adam said, towns would die for this opportunity to be able to start and make a brand new highway and reimagine their parks and their existing facilities. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else public comment? Any?
Denny Slotnick, 3 Walters Court. Less than 5 years ago, the town had the opportunity to purchase the Boyhaven property. Over 300 acres with existing buildings, trails, a pond, through foot dragging, finger pointing, and my favorite, the donor was a drug dealer. The contributions never got together and the deal was never done. One of the more vocal opponents at that time was resident Frank Rossi. Now, as Mayor Frank Rossi, he would like to sell you guys about 165 acres for, according to the MOI, $435,000, but the purchase price or the appraised value was about $365,000. I have a list of questions here that I would like to have answered. I'm going to hand it to Amanda when I'm done, but I want to read them out loud so everybody knows what my questions are. Number one, like I just said, the appraised value is $365,000. Why are we paying $435,000? Why is the establishment of water districts tied to this contract? If the village no longer owns Woods Hollow, then why has the town agreed to split any income from logging with them? I'd like to know if the towns of Ballston and Malta are agreeing to tie their contributions to the pool and the library to the rate of inflation also. Why are we going to provide snow removal and ice treatment as well as leaf and brush pickup for 5 miles of road the town doesn't own? What are the estimated costs of doing this previously mentioned work for the next 5 years? And who replaces mailboxes, catch basins, and any other items that we damage during winter operations? So Amanda, if you could take this. And a timely response would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Would you like that mailed to you, Mr. Zlotnick?
That would be great.
Picking that up at town?
No, that would be great. 3 Walters Court. It's on the paper.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Rossi?
Frank Rossi Jr., 63B Saratoga Avenue in Balsas. Since my name was invoked, I feel it's appropriate to address, and if he wants answers, well, he had an opportunity when we had our public comment session to get such answers, and some were provided, but I will happily provide some answers, and also first start by stating my personal opposition to the Boyhaven situation was that the town of Milton was going to be spending money that eventually they were going to turn over land to the EEC and basically be risking the money that they were putting into it, the town was, for the DEC to pay lower value because it would have been determined to be forever wild from the first transaction. And that wasn't fair to the town. In the end, it did end up in DEC's hands for the most part, except for a certain piece of it, and we all lived happily ever after. Now with Woods Hollow, it is a piece of land that is very important to both the village and to the town, but reality comes to the idea of we can only do so much as a village with the DPW staff that we have and the resources we have to keep Woods Hollow in favorable shape for the future. We were trying to do some work on it with tree removal, as everybody knows in here, and that value was up to about $160,000 worth of revenue that would have went to the village of Balsam Spa. Ultimately, the sale price is $360,000. It is the assessed value, or the appraisal value, excuse me, which is more the assessed value, which is not surprising under the circumstances, but it shows that the appraisal did come in overassessed. And the other $75,000 is the termination fee ultimately to LUMAC, because LUMAC had a contract with the village, and the town and some of the townspeople especially are very against the way that it would have been handled. If you're going to buy it, it's your prerogative to take the trees down the way that your townspeople would like to have happen and your board would like to have happen. That's the way it works, and that's why it's happening. But then there was the $160,000 question, which went to things in terms of what we call value creation in business, and that's what the town and the village did, value creation. Water districts are a very important thing for the village of Balsam Spa right now because it hurts our ability to get grants in the town ultimately, or with the town's water situation ultimately. There was, I think, under Supervisor Zlotnick's time, an approval of, or at least it moved forward during the Iron Spring project, and nobody thought to actually force a water district to be formed there, for instance. We had to basically stop everything. Jim Craig knows this very well. We had to go and create individual agreements and an agreement with the developer to at least have what we are required to do under state law to serve water to Iron Spring. That type of situation exists throughout this town, unfortunately, over decades of this type of activity. And Carla Bittner, our village attorney, and Don Rhodes, our water feasibility expert, have really helped direct us as a village on what needs to be done. And the town is going to be spending a great deal of money to correct the situation to ensure that water provision by the village to the town will continue with the right rules and requirements in place, and we appreciate that. Colonial Hills work is in the same vein as was everything else that was mentioned here. It was value creation to offset $160,000 that the town did not want to pay cash for, obviously, because they had an appraised value, but we had to recognize the fact that we were going to have some revenue from logging, and we're not going to receive that revenue at the end of the day. So, there we stand, and this has been up, down, all around this entire discussion for months now, and we appreciate that the town is making the next moves here. And for those wondering, as I stated recently, we're likely have to go to the state of New York, the legislature, to get this approved. In the meantime, we'll get a contract with contingency likely together as soon as possible with Jim and Carla Bittner working on it. And we will make sure that we get everything moving forward and done, hopefully over the next year, to get this transferred over to the town of Milton. Thank you very much for everything you guys have done to work with us.
You can stay on there for a second.
Sure.
I just want to elaborate on a couple of things.
Sure.
So the water districts, obviously that needs to be done because the town of Milton has no idea what pipes that we own in the town of Milton. So in the case if a pipe breaks and it's in the town of Milton, it's up to us to take care of that pipe, correct?
Correct, we are
You
not
would
supposed
fix
to
it.
own.
You would fix it and then you'd send us a bill, so therefore we have to have a fund created to know what we have in the town of Milton.
In the correct world here, and trust me, I got baptism by fire on this topic as much as anybody over the last year, but I have a pretty good grasp on it now from all the education I've gotten, and I appreciate our experts on this. The village should not be owning the underground infrastructure except for their own transmission lines in a municipality's land other than its own. And so the way it's been set up, more or less, that we have some claim to ownership, which we shouldn't. So realistically, yes, the town should be the one owning it and performing the function. What a water district is going to allow to happen is that the district itself is a municipal operation per se, and there's a risk pooling that goes on in that situation in those districts so that you know who's going to be handling it. No, more than 99% of the time, it's going to be the village that's going to be contracted inside of that to perform the work at low value, obviously, or whatever it takes to get it done. And we get to serve water with some ability to predict the future for us. The district gets to do the same. The town right now, as you're saying, has no predictability on what the exposure is because of the way things were set up over the last decades. And so while there were some attempts to make water districts, they weren't perfected in all cases. They may have expired in certain cases or something else. And we just can't figure out from the documentation very easily what did happen to each and every one of them. And so the overall idea was, let's start from scratch and consolidate as much as possible to make sure it's a lot easier for especially your R1 and R2, possibly even residents that are receiving water from the village.
And correct me if I'm wrong, 3/4 of your village is the town of Milton, correct?
Yes, it is. Yep, from High Street basically. So the north side of High Street is the town of Milton. The south side of High Street is the town of Ballston, and there isn't much land beyond that. In fact, the assessed values are wildly different when we look at our budget from the assessed value in Milton versus the assessed value in Ballston.
And they do pay town of Milton taxes, by the way, correct?
They do, and by the way, the town of Ballston does not contribute toward the pool and the library. Town of Malta has very little, if any, contributions as well. We look at the town of Milton as a huge and important partner for us in the village of Ballston Spa, and we truly, truly do appreciate everything you do for the village. And I think you have learned over your time that how important the village is to the town of Milton, but it doesn't mean that you have to just give us money in that respect. You appreciate us enough to do that. Thank you.
So the leaf and the plowing of Colonial Hills, we're just taking care of our taxpayers.
You are, indeed.
Mike, are you with us? Mike,
Yes, I believe I unmuted.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Mike Iacolucci, 9 Russell Street. Just a couple of quick points. I am pleased to see the resolutions pertaining to the study of salary evaluation for elected positions. I think that's fully appropriate. And similarly, I see a resolution to set and establish employees' title and number of hours for New York State retirement purposes. Given that those are retirement contributions can become a significant part of the town's budget overall, I think it is important that that be looked at and the results of that be clearly communicated to the public. Separately, just a couple of thoughts on Woods Hollow. I think it's very clear that, well, everyone I speak to is strongly in favor of seeing Woods Hollow remain what it is. And perhaps with some improvements in the sense of maintaining trails a little bit better than perhaps has been done in past years. But the resolution seems to leave open the possibility of creating additional recreation amenities. And I don't really know what that means. And I think from talking with people and my own feelings, preserving the current condition, again, improving trails, is important. And establishing establishing any new recreation amenities is questionable in my mind, in large part simply because I do not know what that could mean. So the final point on Woods Hollow that I'll throw out is, as I understand it, the purchase price is being satisfied through a combination of funds from the sale of the property to the Community Emergency Corps, existing parkland funds, and then a grant of some amount, which I couldn't quite figure out what the grant amount is, and some other funds. That's a pretty significant investment by the town. And if that can create a permanent preserve for the use of all the town residents, it seems to me well worth it. But I think it's critical that you, council members, all be comfortable with where the money is going, how much is being paid, and what the intentions are with respect to any work to be done in Woods Hollow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Is that anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ed Gories, 84 Division Street, Ballston Spa, New York. Village in town of Milton, taxpayer. I'm never in favor of selling Woods Hollow. We never really seemed to have a good, when the start of this went down, and you didn't want to help maintain it anymore because you didn't have say what went on with the property. This has been going for how many years? 25, 30 years. That's been an agreement between the town and the village. I don't know how it came about that this just happened, that we ended it, and all of a sudden we have thrown to us residents that you want to buy it, or we want to sell it. I can't tell which came first, but, and to spend $400-something thousand on something we already have. And Friends of Woods Hollow, we would help maintain it free for the village and the town, no cost to anybody. Find ways, I could donate it, make it whatever, non-for-profit, I'll donate money, I'll leave money from my will. There'd be people, they want to keep it like it is. We do not want pavilions in there. Everyone I talk to that uses it does not want pavilions. We do not want other problems in there. We want to keep it like it is and keep it better. That's what I've been trying to say with the village, and I can't get there, and I don't know what it will take, but I do not see spending more of my money. I get to lose because I get to sell it. I don't want to sell it. And I get to spend $400-something thousand where we already have it. Take that money and put it somewhere else. Buy another park. Buy more land they're going to develop. Do something better than wasting that money, of our taxpayers' money. And I don't want the village to sell it either. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, can I just get your name real quick?
Pardon me?
Can I just get your name real quick?
Ed Gories, G-A-W-R-Y-S, 84 Division.
Anyone else? Hearing none, public comment number 1 is now closed. Next, a motion to continue with Cesar Brothers PDD public hearing until the June 28th, 2023 board meeting.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
I abstain.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 53 of 2023, resolution authorizing budgetary amendments and transfers, whereas the town board, town of Milton, from time to time finds it necessary to make budgetary amendments within a budget year based upon recommendations from the town comptroller. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby approves the budgetary amendments and transfers as described and set forth in the schedule provided and recommended by the town comptroller, which said schedule is attached hereto and made a part thereof, and authorize town comptroller to proceed with and make necessary budgetary amendments as set forth therein. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution number 53.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, Resolution 54 of 2023, resolution to approve the proposal submitted by Public Sector Consultants LLC to conduct a salary evaluation of elected positions, whereas after having completed a salary evaluation for all regular town employee positions, the town is desirous in conducting a salary evaluation and study for elected positions, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Milton awards and hires Public Sector HR Consultants LLC of 14 Oakwood Drive, Glenville, New York, 12302, to conduct a salary study for all elected positions at a cost of $800 per position for full-time elected positions and $500 per position for part-time elected positions, plus other minor incidental costs, if any, all as set forth on the attached proposal. And it is further be it resolved that the town supervisor to authorize and enter and to sign all necessary documents and pay all amounts needed in order to execute the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 54.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 55, 2023, resolution to approve the proposal for geotechnical engineering services submitted by Terragon and to approve payment for those services using cold storage and fuel island station specific capital reserve resources restricted for such purpose, whereas Delaware Engineering DPC on behalf of the town requested geotechnical engineering services to be conducted to facilitate the design and proposed construction new highway garage facility located on Rollins Street. And now therefore be resolved, town board hereby awards and appoints and hires Terragon Consultant New York Incorporated of 30 Corporate Drive, Circle, Suite 201, Albany, New York, 12203 to provide geotechnical engineering services to facilitate the design of the proposed construction of the new highway garage facility located on Rollins Street at a cost not to exceed the sum of $24,100 plus miscellaneous additional costs, if any, all set forth on the attached proposal, the cost of which services shall be paid using the cold storage and fuel lines specific capital reserve account, and further authorize the town supervisor to enter into and execute a contract and all other necessary and required documentation and pay all amounts due or to become due regarding the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 55.
I can make that motion, Mr. Supervisor. I'd just like to say that we can always change the layout of these borings as we go down the road, so we aren't held to strictly what shows on the resolution. So we can look at all that and then make those changes.
That's something I was gonna ask Adam too, taking Mr. Bogosian's comments into consideration. Are these done exactly, or, certain places, locations where the buildings are going? I understand the fuel island because we're getting very close to that. But as far as the garage and so on, does it have to be right where the building is, or is it?
No, so the building's large enough and the soil boring process flexible enough, given that site, that even if the building were to move closer to the road, for example, that information as it's configured now at the corners of the concept, it would still be useful for the purpose for which it's intended. So we can reuse those, even if they were drilled tomorrow and the building changed the following day.
And at the very worst part, we don't have to have.
Yeah, we're getting closer to the road, yeah.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 56, 2023, resolution to approve the proposal for additional site plan visualization services submitted by Delaware Engineering DPC, whereas the town board was seeking to work with a consultant engineering firm to provide additional advice and support for the town board, town planning board, town facilities committee, including but not limited to provide visual aids and simulations to illustrate the look of the site once on a particular proposed project is complete, for the purpose of consulting engineer assistance with the planning of the future of Town Hall, Burgess Kimball Park properties, as well as the visualization support of the Highway Department facility relocation. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board does hereby authorize, agree, and consent to and ratify, allowing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Delaware Engineering DPC with offices located at 28 Madison Avenue, Extension, Albany, New York, 12203, to provide additional advice, support, and training, including providing visual aids and simulations to illustrate the future potential look or looks of the Town Hall, Burgess Kimball Park, and Highway Facilities relocation, all set forth on the attached proposal for the sum of $13,700, plus any other incidentals or additional costs, and further hereby authorize town supervisor to sign into any agreement and proposal and to execute all other needed necessary documents to pay all amounts required in furtherance thereof. Now therefore be it resolved, town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution 56.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes, next resolution 57 of 2023, resolution authorizing the purchase of Woods Hollow Nature Preserve from the village of Balsam Spa. Whereas the town is desirous of purchasing the 130.22 acre property known as Woods Hollow Nature Preserve from the village of Balsam Spa, and resolved that the town board, the town of Milton, hereby authorize supervisor to sign any and all documents necessary to effect and purchase, including but not limited to all documents pertaining to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker, which shall be completed prior to entering into a formal contract of sale, as well as the contract of sale closing documents, and to perform all that is necessary and pay all amounts for the purchase price, closing costs, environmental study, survey, title insurance, and any other tests and investigations and costs associated with the purchase of the said property. Now therefore be it resolved, town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution 57.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 58 of 2023, resolution to approve the proposal submitted by Delaware Engineering to complete seeker review, environmental site assessment, and dam assessment pertaining to Woods Hollow Nature Preserve property acquisition. Whereas the town board was seeking to work with a consultant engineer firm to assist the town through the process of phase 1 environmental site assessment, dam safety inspection report, and the preparation and completion of the state environmental quality review seeker for Woods Hollow Nature Preserve. And now therefore be it resolved, the town board does hereby authorize and agree and consent to and ratify allowing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Delaware Engineering DPC with offices located at 28 Madison Avenue, Extension, Albany, New York, 12203, to provide assistance to the town through conduct of phase 1 environmental assessment, ESA dam safety inspection report, and the review, preparation, and completion of the state environmental quality seeker for the purchase of Woods Hollow Nature Preserve. All is set forth on the attached proposal in the sum of $15,600 plus any other incidental and additional costs, and further hereby authorize the town supervisor to sign into and enter into said agreement and proposal, and to execute all other needed and necessary documents, and to pay all amounts required in furtherance thereof. Now therefore be it resolved, town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution 58.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, Resolution 59, 2023, resolution to approve the proposal submitted by Debt Book to ensure compliance with governmental accounting standards. Board issuance of statement number 87 leases, whereas in order to comply with governmental accounting standards, issuance of statement number 87 leases, the town must possess a single lease and model program for the accounting and reporting purposes, which will enhance the accountability, consistency, and comparability of lease activities reported by the town, and that now therefore be it resolved, the town board, after due consideration upon recommendation from the town comptroller, hereby authorize the purchase of the appropriate software from Fifth Avenue Assets Incorporated, debt book with the mailing address of P.O. Box 667950, Charlotte, North Carolina 28266, for a price of $3,000 per year plus any miscellaneous or other incidental expenses associated therein, and further hereby directs the town supervisor to take whatever steps are necessary in order to obtain, purchase, and execute an agreement between the town of Milton and Debt Book for the purchase and installation of such, and to do all the needed and required, and to pay all amounts owed pursuant to such. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution 59.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a quick question for the comptroller. For that cost, does that include any necessary training as well as any licenses needed for more than one user? Or is that additional cost?
I think it's a single user, and that user will be myself. It's 3,000 per subscription year. So I think it's actually prorated I want to say it's actually prorated this year. It's a program that our Sternologic group recommended. They've seen tutors provide a software programs that can help communities in our position migrate to be able to accommodate this GASB pronouncement that was issued in June of last year with the effective for filers calendar year ending 12/31/22. So it's fortunately it's like to ensure that we can comply with the new governmental accounting standards for pronouncement. It's kind of a necessary thing to acquire. The reason this program, I like the sound of this program more so than the programs that are the alternative programs that our audit firm was aware of, was the fact that this would also allow for us to be compliant with the GASB 96 pronouncement that's going to be put into place this June, and we'll have to report in accordance with that pronouncement at the end of 23. So it's a little more robust of a solution, but it will allow for us to address the two GASB pronouncements that have recently been issued.
Thank you.
So
That's good.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Resolution 60 of 2023, May 24, 2023, resolution to set and establish reporting of a list of certain employees' title and number of hours in the standard workday for each title for certain elected and appointed officials who are members of the New York State and local retirement system as required by New York State law, whereas pursuant to the regulations that took effect on August 12th of 2009, Regulation 315.4, the town must establish workdays for elected officials and appointed officials by adopting a resolution that lists certain employees' titles and the number of hours in the standard workday for each title, and now therefore be it resolved, the town board, the town of Milton, and the regular session duly conveyed does hereby establish the following as a standard workday for the following listed elected and appointed officials, and will report the following days as work to the New York State and local retirement system based on a record of activities maintained and submitted by the following officials to the clerk of the board. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 60.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 61 of 2023, resolution to approve and accept the bid submitted by RM Dalrymple Company Incorporated to install the fuel dispensing system at the Round Street Highway Facility Site, whereas the town board and the town highway department are in need of services for the installation of the fuel dispensing system, and installation to be located and constructed at the town of Round Street Highway Facility, and now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby awards to appoint and hires RM Dalrymple Company Incorporated at 15 Gracemore Road, Saratoga Springs, New York 12866 to provide professional service for the installation of fuel dispensing system to be located and constructed at the town of Round Street Highway Facility at a cost not to exceed the sum of $284,484.81, plus miscellaneous additional costs, if any, all set forth on the attached proposal, and further authorizes the town supervisor to enter into and to execute a contract of all necessary and required documentation and to pay all amounts due or to become due regarding the same. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 61.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, a motion to approve the advertisement of bid specifications for a 12,000 square foot cold storage building at the Round Street Highway Facility Site.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, a motion to approve the proposal submitted by Majestics for an extra HDMI input on the diocese.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, a motion to approve the town of Milton holding a electronic recycling day on September 16th of 2023.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Is that Frank?
Yes.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, a motion to approve the American Diabetes Association to use sections of Stone Church Road, Geyser Road, Lewis Road, Delaware Road, and Good Road on June 4th of 2023 for the Tour de Cure Bike Ride.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just so everyone knows, there's copies of the route there, and anyone wants to look at it, we're gonna come by your house on that day. It's gonna be pretty busy.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, department and committee reports, animal control. Animal control monthly report for April of 2023. Total calls 96, bite cases 5, dangerous dog hearings 1, animal seized 12, Tickets issued, unlicensed dog 2, running at large 1, nuisance dog 2, when muzzled 0, with a total of 5, respectfully submitted. Dave Brzezinski, Animal Control. Next, Building Department.
During the month of April, the building department processed 29 building permits and collected $31,171.77 in building permit fees. We completed 113 construction inspections, 10 fire safety inspections, and responded to 22 code enforcement complaints. A total of 11 certificate of occupancy, 12 certificate of compliance, 23 being issued in total.
Thank you, John. Next, Buildings and Grounds.
Buildings and grounds, during the month of April, I completed many projects along with my daily cleaning and all of Town Hall Community Center. There were rentals at the Community Center where we helped set up for events. We recently opened the Milton Mile, put up signs, I made a bench with a roof. I started painting buildings and pavilions at Burgess Kimball, and I'm gonna steal Mark's thunder here a little bit and move ahead a month. He has installed ADA compliant buttons on all the doors downstairs, if anyone didn't notice. Downstairs, the door up here, and also at the community center.
Thank you, Rob. Next, Comptroller's financial reporting package was issued to the town board, and it's made available for the public inspection online at thetownofmilton.org. Economic development, John, you have anything other than green light? Thank you.
I've had meetings with 4 of the major diner operators in the capital district to determine their interest in business opportunities here in the town center, as well as the yet-to-be-built airport. And 3 out of the 4 have expressed an interest in looking at the town. And it's coming Friday. I have a meeting with one of the operators who wants to take a tour of our town. So he's interested. And he wants to determine the feasibility, and we're gonna give him a grand tour and possibilities that he can be successful here in the town of Milton. I've also had a few meetings with the New York State Restaurant Association down in Albany. They represent not only the standard restaurants, but fast food places and franchise operations. And they are very interested in the town of Milton. They've been very cooperative. I told them about the opportunities for the RFP at the airport, and they are sending out, they have sent out notices to about 200 of their members, advising them of the opportunity for the RFP at the airport. So maybe at the last minute we're going to have a surge of applications, because the final date on the RFP is June 2nd, I believe. And also, I've been working on a major publicity piece with the Saratoga Business Report, and it's going to be coming out in June, and it's going to be a nice story about economic development in town of Milton. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's it.
Thanks, John, I appreciate it. Next, Highway.
Over the past month, we have been quite busy with our bulk spring cleanup of yard debris. This is a great service that our town residents enjoy in both the spring and fall seasons. Spring cleanup will conclude by the end of next week. During the summers, the Town of Milton Highway Department does not offer a regular pickup. Any summer yard debris would be limited on a limited basis and only done if our schedule permits. We are already begun our road reconstruction season, and once this season starts, we do not have the staffing to accommodate a roadside cleanup service. Fall cleanup will begin around October 15th. We urge all residents in the summer to bring their yard debris to our transfer station, 503 Geyser Road. If we do have any damaging storms in the summer, the highway department will make a sweep to pick up debris from the storm. The transfer station is open to town residents Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We also now have Saturday hours, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. I would like to thank the staff from the Highway Department for their help with the renovation of the Burgess Kimball Park and the creation of the Milton Mile walking trail. I believe this will be a great asset to our town. Respectfully submitted, Town of Dave Ford.
Thanks, Mike. Next is Story Mike.
Thank you. Mike Companion, Town Historian. Not as much to report this month. We're still continuing working on our plans for the kiosk at 1780 Raid, working on the panels for that, the informational panels. The dozers, October 17th, everything's in place for the history night, trivia night, any history buffs can attend. So basically there'll be a team competition, so you have to form your own teams for members, people who show up, which would be, I think it'll be kind of fun. It's a slow night at dozers anyway, so they're encouraging the business. I met with the Historic Structures and Places Committee. We discussed the progress of that Heritage Award for 2023. We're going to be celebrating the Wiswall House this year. And we also discussed installation of more signs in the cemeteries, recognizing service Revolutionary War soldiers. I'm actually speeding up the process, getting those in. I don't want to spread them out like I wanted to. I want to get them up as soon as possible. So, I also been planning for a ceremony for the reinstallation of a gravestone of Daniel Gilchrist in the Ballston Village Cemetery on May 31st at 11 a.m. The public's invited. Supervisor Stringer will be there as well. We'll have a minister from the town be there, and I'll do a little reading, a story about what the relevance of this stone was and why it ended up where it did for all these years. So again, I think it's kind of a good public interest thing, and I hope that we can actually put it in the paper. I think it'd be good to represent our town in a very positive light, that we care about our residents, even the ones 200 years ago. So, if you're interested in going, it's if you enter from Garrett Road, across from high school, you just drive straight toward the back of the cemetery. It's going to be right on the right-hand side between the old new cemetery and the older part of the cemetery. You can't miss it. So again, it's 11 o'clock on May 31st. May 16th, I attended a Brookside Museum event with Supervisor Ostrander and Councilman Carr, which was kind of nice. They redid the Brookside. It looks really good. The exhibits are awesome. It celebrates the whole county. And I know that the town gave quite a bit of money toward that, and it was much appreciated. Again, you should go down and see if you haven't seen it. It looks great. Thursday, May 18th, I also attended the 250th committee with the Saratoga County for pushing forward plans for this year's commemorations of events in the area. Not our town yet this year, but soon it'll be our town. But other parts of the county will be celebrating different events going on too. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
You're the team captain for the event at Dozers? You're the team captain for the town of Milton at Dozers?
I don't think I'll be a team captain because I'm not going to participate because I think I'll probably win.
That's why you're watching.
Since I know all the questions. And I have tried them out at different people. I have tried different questions out at different people in the town hall, and we've changed the questions quite a bit. Because being a history person, I assume everyone knows the stuff, which I can't make that assumption.
Thanks, Mike. Next, Justice Court.
Justice Court, total monies collected for the month of April, fines were $3,226, surcharges $2,830, civil fees $862 for a total of $6,918.
Planning and zoning. Ryan?
The zoning board meeting was held on April the 27th. There was a public hearing held for an area variance for an accessory building at 433 Joseph Street. The applicant requesting a 25-foot variance for the setback. That hearing was held, closed, and the variance was approved. And then the planning board met on May the 10th. There was a public hearing held for a special use permit and site plan review at that same property. However, they're looking to bring the property into compliance and into code by reducing the dwelling from 3 units to 2. That project was approved as well. There's a public hearing for the Masonic Lodge relocation site plan review and special use permit. That hearing was held, however, it is going to remain open at least until the June meeting. And there was a public hearing for 71 Rollins Street, which is the site of the old Benedict Health Building, for a private school. That site plan and special use permit was also approved. And the June meeting for the planning board was moved from the 14th to the 21st. That's all.
Thank you, Ryan. Next receiver of taxes? Nothing, Lisa? Town clerk.
The month of April, we did 7 marriages, 4 certified marriages, 37 certified death certificates, 1 genealogical research, 7 FOIL and search of records requests, 139 dog licenses, 30 of those online, 36 hunting and fishing licenses, 12 pavilion and community center rentals. Total brought in $4,701.50. Town share $3,828.82.
Thank you, Amanda. Next, the assessors report, May 24th, 2023, town board. May has been a busy month. 357 changes of assessment notices were sent. April 21st of 2023, 4 days were set in May for residents to meet with the assessor in the assessment roll. 16 complaints were received, 14 stipulations offered and accepted. 2 complaints required additional documentation for review. Last night, the Board of Assessment Review met from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. 1 resident attended. Now that the grievance has ended for 2023, our tentative roll is closed. The assessor's office will be working on the final roll to be published by July 1st of 2023. Assessor's office is still on target for beginning our new inventory picture update for the summer of 2023. Postcards will be sent to the homeowners in advance. Kind regards, Town of Milton Assessor, Laura Minsky. Next, board member discussion on new business. First is possible land conveyance to the town for public recreational benefit. Art, do you want to speak on that first?
Well, I'll start as long as everybody else steps in once the conversation gets going. Back in January or February, a lovely gentleman came up to see Scott and I, who'd been down paying his taxes. And he said he had a piece of property, he was interested in conveying to the town. We were gonna go look at that property and didn't get there until this month, actually, because the snow finally came. But Scott, myself, and Dave Bramer walked that property. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. This man has maintained the property for like 40 years, and he knows every tree in there personally, and gave us a description and talked to us about it. Stone walls. There's actually a well on it, and I think we asked Mike to see if he could find any history in the house. I think we finally came to the conclusion
that it was a piece of a larger property, about 125 acres. That was part of there's a home associated with it, but this part was broken off.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back as far as I could for finding deeds, and there was no mention of any dwellings there, as far as I could find.
Right.
So, but there, I think Yvonne downstairs helped me discover that it was actually a piece of a larger parcel at one point. So this is the small piece of that larger parcel, 125 acres. But there is a house associated with it.
There is a house.
Not on that site, but
Not,
down the road.
is it still there? It's not there anymore.
The house is still
It
there.
is.
The house is still there. Not the site, not on the site.
Right,
outside.
exactly.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting, because
Yeah.
we can pass that on.
So I
to
will,
him.
I will type up a history of that parcel. And again, this piece is just a small piece of that bigger
Right.
section.
So, like I said, he didn't really put any restrictions on it. He'd like it named after, or some kind of memorial to his mother, which I find no problem. Available access to everyone here in Milton. I'd like to see it as kind of an educational thing. Like I said to him, he knows every tree personally, and you know, what trees are the seed trees, and what trees are the ones for lumber, the black oak. No, we're not cutting any black oak, but I think it's a good opportunity for the town, and very nice man, very easy to work with, and he just is not, you know, he's getting up and I think he said around 80, so he doesn't have the time or the energy to spend that much time on the property, so.
So it is a established tree farm. It's located on Route 29, just off Middle Line Road. The town is in the process of doing an appraisal and a title search on the property, so hopefully within the next month, we should have more news on the property. It's turned over, we're in the process of getting it turned over to the town, so we'll be keeping you abreast of everything that goes on. Probably within the next month, we should have more answers for you. Next, board member discussion on old business. The results of the bulk collection day that we had past 2 prior Saturdays. The results, the highway department unloaded 149,780 pounds of refuse from 874 vehicles, which equates to 12,482 pounds of refuse from 73 vehicles per hour. So it was very successful. I believe, Dave, did we come in under budget on that project?
Yeah.
So we definitely will be looking forward to doing that again next year for the residents. Anything else you want to add, Dave?
No, I think it was a hit. I'm glad we were able to offer that service for the residents this year. We did work, when we put this out to the RFP, it was for a 2-year period, so we are hoping to be also provide the service, before 2023. Hopefully we get better weather. These guys kept it up and made the most of it, and it was a success. And I would like to thank Malta, just maybe put it out on the record for helping us to get this up and running. They provide us with kind of the template and take it from there.
So from the board, I'd like to personally thank Amanda. You were there both times, donating your time. Laura, Barb, John, Highway Department, you guys did an awesome job. Thank you very much.
We did get a little revenue out of it.
And a little from the
We had about a container and a half of metal.
Not even taking that into account, that would actually, was 1,500 between the 3 containers of steel that we were able to offload. So that actually we're well under where we planned.
And I think half the town of Milton must be without mattresses.
And I want to say this, I want to put something here, the residents were great. I mean, they were delivering donuts and pizzas, and even a couple days later, they came with pizza for the highway guys. So they really appreciated it.
So next, status of Woods Hollow, I think we pretty much covered that. It's in the attorney's hands right now. There's environmental studies going on through the town with Delaware Engineering. We do have to get state legislature approval, which is going to take some time. So once again, we will keep everybody abreast of what's going on in the future, what's going on with Woods Hollow. Next, a discussion with CDTC regarding the setting of the scope of the project for Town Center. I was on a Zoom with Dave and Barb in reference to CDTC, and they're going to get back to us within the next couple of weeks with a site plan. We gave them the ideas, what we're looking to do on the expansion here at the intersection, and they're going to put together a scope which we will share with you at a later date once we get back from CDTC. Fishing tournament, Barb.
Well, we had our fishing tournament last weekend. We moved it ahead about 3 weeks. The weather cooperated. We only had about 50 children fishing, but I think everyone that was there had a great time. Everybody walked away with a fishing pole or some prize. They did catch fish. I really think we have to review this. I think what we're running into is a lot of competition with lacrosse, baseball, soccer. I don't know whether it'd be better to go into April, go back into April, but we'll look at it and decide what we wanna do next year. I think it was successful, we all enjoyed it. We have a new fish measurer back there too, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Tim.
Next, public comment number 2 on any other town business. Tim?
My name is Tim Bantham, 32 Birch Tree Lane. I just wanted to comment on the bulk collection day that took place earlier this month, the 2 weekends. I wanted to just thank the town board for offering that to the citizens of the community. It was a great event. I really took advantage of it. I'm a little ashamed to admit that I made 4 trips on the first Saturday and 1 trip the second Saturday. And as I was sitting there in line, truck number 40 out of 874, I was thinking to myself, we as a society have way too much stuff, and it's also very difficult to get rid of a few things. But this truly is a great asset to the community. It gives us an opportunity to do our own beautification in our own homes, perhaps prevent a mattress from showing up on somewhere on the side of Stone Church Road. So this is a great thing to have, and I hope to see that this continues into the future. I especially wanted to thank the Highway Department, Jason Miller and his team. These guys worked incredibly hard in bad weather. They made the event happen, and I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you guys for all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Anyone else? Frank Rossi?
Frank Rossi Jr., I haven't moved since the last time. Just wanted to, actually the reason that we came was to thank the town and especially Dave Forbes, Jason Miller, and the entire crew that they oversee. We just did part 1 of 2 in the paving portion of the Front Street repaving project. It's taken us a couple of months because of the amount of things we needed to fix up, evaluate, ADA compliant, or make ADA compliant, et cetera, on that street. Obviously, it's an important street to us as it's the heart of our business district, and it's not just the town of Milton, but since we're here tonight, I do want to thank the town of Milton for all the guidance, all the support and work and effort that went in to help our DPW. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the towns of Ballston, Malta, Stillwater, and Greenfield also assisted, which is a great reminder of Saratoga County's support of each other. And please pass that on to Chairman Kuzners for me if you can, that this county is awesome in that respect. Whenever somebody needs something in one municipality, there's no shortage of people willing to help out in that respect. So thank you to them very much. Also, just a thought and idea, we had Dr. Duca, the new superintendent of the Balsam Spa Central School District, address our board on Monday, and he's a very dynamic individual, and good to know about what has been going on and what will be going on in the school district. I would encourage you to maybe have him come speak to your board as well, since I know a good chunk of the town outside the village is still part of the Balsam Spa Central School District. And I don't think he'll be disappointed at all with anything he says if he comes to a meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else?
I'll be very quick. I just want to follow up on Councilman Frohlich's comment and your response, Adam, and maybe you can address it quickly. Where the test bores are going to be conducted on the proposed highway garage facility, are you saying that you are comfortable if this facility moves to being within compliance of the town center regulations of moving it to the street, that those borings will be applicable to the new building and we won't have to do new borings?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the highway guys. I know you were out there. I saw the rain. I went by. I didn't bring any of my stuff. I thought about it, but next time I will. Thank you.
We'll have to go to 2 days.
Anyone else? Bruce, for those.
gonna be as short as that, but, I don't know if anyone else caught it, but the irony of Mr. Zlotnick's presentation and subsequent quest for answers to questions wasn't lost on me. I made numerous presentations and numerous requests for questions to be answered under his administration and got nothing, so. But I digress. I came here to talk about the town center tonight. I worked with John Bartow, your planning board chair, as the chair, and I was the chair of that town center committee. We worked together on that, and we incorporated a lot of new progressive ideas, innovative ideas, as we tried to lay out a vision for what this town would ultimately become. And that zoning was passed in 2001. I think it was September 2001. And the reason I'm bringing this up tonight is because I understand there may be some discussion to revise the town center guidelines and zoning. And at that time, Milton was recognized for its innovative design guidelines. We were even asked at that time to make a presentation to the Association of Towns in New York City, describing how we were able to bring together different parties, the town, the county, National Grid, and make all this stuff work. I would just urge the board to step back and take a look at how successful this has been. I mean, these guidelines really just talk about bulk and density, where you can put a building, how much land you can use, the locations, the sidewalks, the lights, the trees. For instance, the whole point of the lights and the trees and the sidewalks is to create a traffic calming effect, so it slows traffic down in our town center. It also creates a pedestrian-friendly environment, so folks can walk down here. And as I was thinking today, what I would say tonight, I looked in the town center guidelines and read the principles of our town center guidelines that were done back in 2001. And I think that's the most relevant thing. And if you bear with me, I'm going to read right from the code, which is your town code. Successful places and memorable communities evolve from a set of guiding principles. These principles direct how the place or community will grow and develop. Guiding principles allow these areas to evolve over time and adapt to changing situations. The town of Milton Town Center is no different. The guiding principles, which serve as the foundation for the town center master plan, are derived from traditional principles of design. Locally, these principles are expressed in the layout and architecture of the village of Ballston Spa and Milton's Hamlets and the city of Saratoga Springs. Regionally, there are other successful examples, the villages of Rhinebeck, Millbrook in Chatham, New York, and Northampton, Massachusetts, and Burlington, Vermont. In all of these examples, a set of principles have been applied, tested over time, and remain to guide the continued use, growth, and success of these areas. These guiding principles and their associated design guidelines are intended to support the evolution of the town center as a distinct and vital community. It should be noted, however, the intent of the design guidelines is not to create a second village, rather to apply traditional design principles to make the town center an equally vibrant and diverse community. And I think we've been able to do that, and I think it's been extremely successful. In response to John's working with the Saratoga Today in the article, I pulled out some information that I'd like to share with the board tonight that I think has a direct correlation to the town center guidelines, and you can see in the timing of it. The guidelines were adopted in 2001. This demographic information that I'm going to share with you, pass it down, and you'll see in the highlighted area, it's This is a chart of demographics for 1, 3, and 5 mile radius. And that radius is from the intersection of Geyser Road and Rollins Street. And we're going to focus on the 1 mile radius because that encompasses all the town center. And just a few highlights, you'll see the population in 2002 within that 1 mile radius was approximately 3,200 people. The population in 2022, 20 years later, was about 5,200 people, a 61% increase. The total households in 2002 were about 1,100, and in 2022 were about 2,300. I'm rounding these numbers up, for a change of 104% increase in the households in the town center. The median income, you can see, went from about $58,000 to approximately $99,000 in that 20-year span, a 71% increase. I believe that these numbers bear out the success of what we set out to do back in 2001. And I don't know how to say it any better. You don't mess with success. It's gone well, and it's proving itself well, and it's working, and people are walking down here, they're coming to do business, and they're living here. And as the town grows, this town center is going to become an even more vital part of this community. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Anybody? Hearing none, public comment number 2 is now closed. We will be going into executive session this evening for the employment history of a town individual employee. Can I get a motion to go into an executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Crowlish.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes.
Good job, Elena.
We're still muted now.
Somebody's old enough to do this.
Unmuting us.
You're stuck. Glasses are on.
Yes.
Being invaded by Amanda is funny, or not anything else.
So we've exited executive session. Can I get a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Crowlish.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. No other business to come before the board. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.